Hello, homeschooling families and those interested in homeschooling. My name is Khari Dawson. I am a writer based in Baltimore, Maryland, and I am also a former homeschooling student who used to participate in dual enrollment at her community college. And I wanted to talk to you all a little bit about my experience doing dual enrollment and how dual enrollment ended up preparing me for my journey at a four-year university. So first I wanted to share a little bit about me that will be significant going into talking about my experience as a dual-enrolled homeschooled student. First and foremost, I was always a child that was fascinated with reading and writing. Even when I attended public elementary school, I was constantly reading, constantly writing, in class, out of class, when I was supposed to be reading and writing, and when I wasn't supposed to be reading and writing. So that was one consistent thing and a constant in my life from a very young age. Another thing about me is that during my high school years, I was a homeschooled dual-enrolled student. I was homeschooled on and off throughout my life, but when it came to deciding what I wanted to do for high school, I decided that I wanted to be homeschooled. And while being homeschooled as a 9th grader, I learned about dual enrollment through my mother. And I started doing it. And I did it every single year that I was in college. Or, I'm sorry, not college, high school. So I say that to, let you know that I guess I know what I'm talking about. I have I've taken a lot of classes in community colleges. And I think I know the ropes a little bit. The third thing is that after high school, I received a full tuition scholarship to attend my university, which is the University of San Francisco. Go Dons. I say that also to kind of convince you of my legitimacy, but also to let you guys know that, homeschooled students are, exposed to and are capable of receiving really cool opportunities. I think a lot of people are under the impression that if, your student doesn't take the SAT or the ACT, then, they're doomed, or if they don't have this other, thing that only the public schooling system can provide, that their child is doomed. And, I didn't do any of that stuff. I was dual enrolled, I was homeschooled, I was doing my own thing, and I still, was able to go to college for very little money. So, I just wanted to convince you of the possibilities there also. And then also the last thing is that I am now a published writer and educator. I'm primarily have been a poet. I'm trying to get back into my fiction bag, and at the end I'll talk a little bit about where you can read my work if you are interested. So a little bit more about how I started dual enrollment in the first place. I said before that I decided that I wanted to be homeschooled in 9th grade, primarily honestly because none of the schools in my area were schools that didn't require students to wear uniforms, and I just did not want to wear a uniform at all. So I was like, I would rather be homeschooled than wear a uniform. Excuse me if you can hear the cars and motorcycles going by. I live on a busy street. But I started homeschooling again after attending a public middle school for 7th and 8th grade, and getting a lot of cool friends, meeting a lot of cool people, but it was definitely time to go back. My mother discovered dual enrollment through her own professorship. She was working at the time at the community college in Prince George's County Community College. Shout out PGCC. And she learned that they had a dual enrollment program there, and she asked me if I wanted to do it. And I was like, college credits seems cool to me. And that's where I started taking courses, or that's when I started taking courses at Prince George's County Community College. And then Mom stopped working there. She started working at CCBC, the Community College of Baltimore County, and I followed. I went with her, and CCBC is ultimately where I would graduate. Okay, so I definitely had some fears going in that I kind of look back at now and think are silly, but they were definitely real to me at the time, especially as somebody who was young and who was only really familiar with K through 12 public schooling and homeschooling. So it was very nerve-wracking, but yeah, here were some of my fears. I think one of them was definitely committing to a major that I would later not enjoy. I'm thankful, we'll talk about later if my fears came true or not. But yes, this was a very real fear for me, and something that I still think about, like, should I do this knowing that, because I'm so prone to change, and I'm always, I'm a very picky person and like something one day and don't the next day, so I kind of worry about if I'm gonna shock myself in that way. So definitely at the time that was something that I worried about. Another fear I had was facing criticism that I experienced in public school. When I was attending public school, I would get in a lot of trouble because of my sort of homeschooled tendencies. I would, take naps in class. I would go to the bathroom without raising my hand. I would write a lot. I don't know if that's a homeschool tendency, but I would get in trouble a lot. And being homeschooled provided me that freedom to just exercise my autonomy. But I worried that being in an environment that was kind of, I don't want to say it was close to public school, but was in some ways an extension of public school, I did definitely have that worry as well. And then I think my last fear was not being able to keep up. You hear the word college and you think college level work, and you think really strenuous work, long nights spent doing work. And yeah, it was a very real fear that I had. And especially also when it came to thinking about how class would go for me, like, would I be able to know when the right time to raise my hand was, or, if I was asking the right sort of questions in this environment that I'd never been in before. Now, did my fears come true? No, they did not come true. My classes were well-paced. My professors were really accommodating most of the time. Now, there were some professors that did give me a hard time at moments, but there was never a situation that I couldn't handle, especially given the support of my parents and the support of the rest of the community college. Community college was an opportunity in terms of my fear of committing to a major that I would later dislike. I still, to this day, love writing. I am a writer. It's one of my professions. But even if I didn't like writing right now, I can acknowledge that community college is the place and the time to figure out whether you like something or whether you don't. So even if you don't like something, you're learning new information about yourself that is endlessly valuable, and you can't go wrong with when it comes to choosing a major, and also you can change your major, which is a cool thing that is common knowledge, I think. But the last fear that did not come true was that I would face the vitriol, or not vitriol, but I would face the criticism that I faced in public school, and that did not come true either. My professors were not on my back in the way that public school. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about my fears going into dual enrollment, how I started dual enrollment, and we've talked a little bit about my history and what I'm doing now, I want to talk about 3 ways that dual enrollment actually prepared me for my attendance at a 4-year university. The first way is that it further familiarized me with the concept of concentrated learning. So when I say concentrated learning, I mean the concept of having a major. Having a major made me feel like I was working towards something. My experience going to public school, and I know a lot of my peers' experience going to public school when I was going, is that I think oftentimes we would wonder, like, why are we learning all of these concepts, especially when it came to math, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, obviously being an English major. But we would wonder a lot of the times what we were working toward and why we were learning these concepts. And though admittedly these concepts, like a lot of them we would end up using, I think a lot of them we didn't end up using, and it's still hard. It's kind of hard to reconcile that as an adult, and it's definitely hard to reconcile it while you're learning all of these concepts, and you're not really getting an answer of like, why do I need this? So having that concentration, having a major during high school and doing dual enrollment, knowing that I was working towards a degree in English, familiarized me with the concept of, having something that you are working toward actively, not just, a sort of nebulous or general accolade or degree. It also gave me room, my apologies. It gave me room to become even more concentrated within my chosen major. So while I was doing English at CCBC, I was doing poetry classes, I was doing fiction classes, and I was also taking classes that were sort of journalistic. I was doing screenwriting classes and things like that. And so when it came to going to a 4-year, I knew that I sort of liked creative writing and doing poetry more than I liked other aspects of literature. So I knew that I wanted to be an English major with an English or with a creative writing concentration. Okay, the second way that it prepared me is it familiarized me with how to navigate a college campus, and it also quelled some of my worries when it came to navigating a college campus. I was definitely less intimidated by the idea of getting lost or making another sort of mistake, because I had made so many mistakes already at CCBC trying to get around. Honestly, college campuses are complex, especially for someone like me who gets lost like the drop of a hat. But having so much experience failing and like going to the wrong place and being late, I honestly it sort of not desensitized me, but it made me nicer to myself and gave me the courage to give myself more grace. So that was definitely valuable when it came to going to a 4-year. And I also knew the right questions to ask when it came to finding where I wanted to go and asking questions about different buildings that I wanted to be at. So once you've navigated a community college, you kind of know, okay, a lot of colleges have like buildings that are very specific to the college experience. So I knew what to ask for in those cases. Okay, and 3, I was given recommendations by published creative writers and accomplished thinkers in the media landscape that probably would have been a lot harder to get had I attended public school and without being dual enrolled, because you can be dual enrolled and also attend school at the same time, which is something that's important to note. But yeah, it was valuable while applying to four-year universities to be spoken so highly of by respected writers who could attest to my value as a learner, and my contributions in a classroom setting. One of my favorite professors in the world gave me an awesome recommendation for my university, for my university that I think was definitely a large reason why I was able to attend college without having to pay for tuition. So it's definitely a valuable thing. These connections can also be utilized for job opportunities post-college. I still ask that same professor for recommendations, and they are on my recommendation list when I am applying for opportunities. Okay, so now that you know all of the ways that dual enrollment can prepare you as a homeschooling student for college or for your university, or you as a homeschooling guardian to set your homeschooling student up for dual enrollment, you should understand the benefits of enrolling your student in community college. You should release the stress you might have about allowing your student to do dual enrollment. And homeschooling students, you guys should feel confident talking about and approaching dual enrollment. And you should understand the many possibilities and pathways that homeschooling might offer you. Now I want you to bloom. I want you to take all of this information and do the right next step for your homeschooling family. It might be dual enrollment. It probably is, or it might not be. Not everything is for everybody, but I do think that dual enrollment is a very, very valuable aspect, or can be a very valuable aspect of homeschooling if you allow it to be. And even if you don't homeschool and you're just interested, but you are also interested in dual enrollment, it might be cool to put your kid in dual enrollment first and see how they're feeling about that, even if they're not homeschooled, and see what those pathways might look like for your kid. But yeah, it's up to you. It's part of your homeschooling journey, and that's really the fun of it. If you are interested in reading my work or connecting with me, you can go to my LinkedIn at this link. I'll try to link it in some other way because I know it's not entirely easy to copy a link in this way. But you can also take a look at my Poetry Foundation page at this link. I'll also try and find another way to link that. And then you can learn a little bit more about my contributions to Black Writers for Peace and Social Justice at this link, which I'll also try to link in a different way. But yes, thank you so much. Have an awesome day.
If you're still with us, don't go just yet. I want to ask you to take a look at our new book, Homeschooling Black Children on a College Pathway. This comprehensive resource includes narratives from half-dozen homeschooling parents who homeschooled children before, during, and after the COVID-19 global quarantine. The stories included in this book showcase strategies to prepare homeschooled children for STEM majors, college athletic programs, dual enrollment, and more. The book discusses the ways the metaverse can be used in college prep and how including a liberatory framework in your homeschool practice can garner positive outcomes for homeschoolers leaving home for college. This book also includes worksheets on how to have important conversations with your homeschooled children and the entire family as you prepare your homeschoolers for their transition to college or university. This book is presented by Black family homeschool educators and scholars through the literary nonprofit Black Writers for Peace and Social Justice, Incorporated. Black family homeschool educators and scholars is the first U.S.-based research and education group dedicated specifically to the topic of Black family homeschooling, founded in 2020. Black Family Homeschool Educators and Scholars produces the annual BFHES virtual teach-in and presented the book Homeschooling Black Children in the U.S. Theory, Practice, and Popular Culture in 2022. Thank you for buying. Take care.